Today, we're joined with Rebecca Matchett. She is a serial entrepreneur and the chief operating officer and co founder of Synchrony, a structured AI assisted social platform built specifically for neurodivergent adults. She previously co founded the global fashion brand alice+olivia, and her current work focuses on reducing loneliness and building belonging through safety first, empathy driven product design. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I am as well. Um, I'm curious. I love what you're doing with the AI space. AI is obviously like the most exciting thing in the world for the last few years now. Tell us what is a neurodivergent adult?
So, neurodivergent adult covers a spectrum of learning differences. So, that can be autism, it can be ADHD, there's panic disorders, everything sort of falls in that. It's a broad
Mhm.
category. More and more people are sort of associating with that, being part of that community. And, because of the communication differences and difficulties, there's often a social component that's lacking and missing in these people's lives, and that's what we are addressing.
That's beautiful. I love that. What gave you the motivation to do this, to start this synchrony?
Well, I was approached actually by one of my co-founders, Jamie, who is the mother of a 21-year-old autistic son, and she was very concerned about his social well-being and what his social life looks like and will look like as he becomes older and older. A lot of the social supports that were around him and offered to him and available as a child kind of went by the wayside once he became an adult. And as we know, those social needs don't disappear. But this and the support didn't disappear for him either, but the access to it did. And so Jamie came up with this concept, presented it to me, really just in a conversation over drinks. We were friendly at the time, and my wheels just got spinning. So at the time, I had sold one of my companies, and I didn't know what I was going to do next. I had only been in fashion. I was sort of on this hiatus, and knew I wanted to do something, but had no idea what it was. And then it turned out that this was it, and it was clear really from the first time she mentioned it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. Sounds such a beautiful mission and has such a big impact on people and their families.
Absolutely. And that is, I
Yeah.
mean, it's such a good point because it's not only for that end user, the member, the neurodivergent adult, it really is for the family and for all the
Yeah.
loved ones around them because that falls on the family members, right? To create those connections for their loved ones. It's a very difficult task. You also want to foster independence and for your loved ones and are enjoy and synchrony really helps to do that. Not just make the context or excuse me, the connections,
Right.
but also foster that independence along the way.
Yeah, beautiful. What's been one of your favorite parts so far on building it?
I would say educating myself about the ND community. I mean, it is
Yeah.
not something I had firsthand experience with. I am absolutely floored by the incredible members that we currently have, the people we've been working with, because we have a lot of ND voices in the creation of our app and in the continued development of it. And I just think it's filled a part of me that, was completely empty before.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've never heard of that term until we are discussing this with you. So I think that's cool for me too. I'm in the coaching space and we help people with all sorts of challenges as well. But I never heard of neurodivergent adults. So um, yeah, I'm curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in terms of like the building of this business versus your previous businesses, what's been maybe different or similar on these journeys as well in terms of kind of the trajectory of how you've been building them?
Yeah, I would say the similarity is that I tend to enter these businesses with not a lot of experience. And but that's the challenge for me. And that's sort of the exciting part. And that's, I believe, what allows me to be more creative and less fearful in certain ways because I don't know what the boundaries are. I don't know how things are necessarily supposed to operate in a very granular level. And that's allowed me to sort of think outside the box and say, you know what, I
Yeah.
want to achieve that huge goal that's, others might say, yeah, you can't do it that way, or that's not possible. And so I do like the freedom that sort of that ignorance gives me. But another similarity is sort of that I love problem solving. I love filling a gap in the market that doesn't exist, that currently exists. And Alice and Olivia at the time, it was these pants that were made of actually upholstery material. They were patterned, great, bright colors. We had this fit that we were launching. And it was like this need at the time that differentiated us. I had another company that was sizing shirts and dresses according to women's bust size. That was to fill the gap of this sizing crisis that women face when they enter the dressing room. And it's sort of like if you don't have the same body shape and size as the fit model, you're kind of out of luck and you have to wear knit clothing or you have to get your clothing tailored after you purchase it. And so I was trying to fill that gap. And then with Synchrony, I mean, this is the biggest gap of all, which is this huge social cliff and loneliness that this community faces. So I would say there's similarities there for sure. Differences, I have never built an app. This has been an incredible learning experience. It's something that I've had to hire app developers and designers that I really have to trust, right, to produce the actual product. They have been incredible. They are understand our mission entirely. They have completely bought in. Almost all of them have some one degree of separation and the adult in their family or child. It's been an amazing experience in that way.
Yeah, that's so cool. I remember reading a little bit about your journey at Alice and Olivia, where like a lot of entrepreneurs, right? You're doing a lot of many things, and how you didn't the ignorance sometimes serves you too, right? To be naive. I remember Richard Branson saying, "If I knew how hard it was to build businesses, maybe I wouldn't have done it."
Yeah,
So I think in some ways
exactly.
it's a blessing in some ways as well. So that's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's funny when we first launched Alice and Olivia and we were using, like I said, upholstery materials for pants. And there's quite a good reason why upholstery materials are used on couches and curtains and not on apparel. Um, and we found out why. But in the process, we also realized that the textures and the patterns and the colors were something that were very attractive to our customer. And so we were able to then manufacture, the fabrics in the appropriate materials. Um, but it really did get us to a point that I don't think we would have gotten to had we just gone into a regular, fabric store and started picking out apparel appropriate fabrics.
Yep. That's so funny. So I never heard of that term either, the upholstery thing. So that's what's usually on curtains, you said, but that you guys thought to put it on clothes?
Right, because of
Very
the
cool.
patterns and the textures and things, but
Yeah.
you can't launder them. They
Yep.
completely split. They're very sort of abrasive against the skin. So there are reasons, why you don't want them against your skin, but it really did launch us and differentiate us.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. Um, I have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the podcast, so I do want to ask you a couple quick questions. Then I want to ask you more about Synchrony and how it works and all that as well, for sure. But since we're still on the topic of business and entrepreneurship a little bit, what for people that are building a business and want to keep on growing and be more successful, especially in today's world, right, with AI and the world changing quicker than ever and a lot of geopolitical things happening and the dollar, all the crazy things happening with the economics as well. Do you have any kind of uh, insights or lessons you want to share with entrepreneurs that are kind of like on their path to like even making their first $1 million in their business? I know it's a broad question,
Yeah.
whatever kind of comes to mind for you.
Yeah, no, it's a broad question, but I think that with launching a company, especially such a mission-driven company or a big idea, you
Hmm.
certainly have your eye on the prize all the time, but the importance of putting one step in front of the foot in front of the other and sort of biting off small chunks as you
Yep.
go is so critical. I have done the opposite. I've tried to do everything at once and it doesn't work, right? And specifically with what I'm building right now or any new brand, really, you have to build the trust first, right? So you need to take one step, prove that you deserve the customers that are coming to you, and then you build off of that.
Mm.
And otherwise, you are very scattered in your
Yep.
approach, in your budget, in your marketing, in everything. And you become nothing because you're too many things and you're spread too thin. So I would just, I would say the slow growth approach often leads to greater success, right? Than if you're trying to do everything at once. It's hard. It's hard to hold yourself back because you can see what it should look like and will look like and could look like. But you need to give yourself time to vet the process, make sure that what you're doing is working. Because you throw spaghetti against the wall, you're not sure exactly where was the misstep, what should I have done differently, what needs adjusting.
Yep, absolutely. Is there a process you like to use to kind of go through your day and stay focused and make sure you do the most important things, or do you have any process that you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the trying to distill down the big concept to the most
Mhm.
basic level, where you can still, you still are being true to what your end product, ultimate product is going to be,
Yep.
but a really basic version of that, I would say.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Do you have any routine? Do you like to meditate? Do you like to journal? Do you like to, I'm sure you work out. Like, do you have any kind of habits or rituals that you feel are very helpful for you to be productive as an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, no.
Really?
I
Oh, wow.
don't.
Yeah.
I feel so spread thin, frankly.
Yeah.
I I see great value in all of those things, and I try to instill those things in my children, but I do not practice what I preach. I am a frantic, like all over the place, many windows open at the same time, calls from the
Yeah.
car, it's the New York City, version
Yep.
of a person. Yeah.
Yep. No, I know that. Yeah. Well, hey, it's working. You're doing great work. So don't gotta fix it if it's not working. It's interesting. I noticed that with a lot of, I don't want to say old school, but I'm a little younger than you, I think. I just turned 40 actually
Yes.
on Friday. So
Happy birthday.
you still look super young. I'm not trying to age you at all, but based on your based on your biography
Yes.
and what you've done, I'm like, all right, she's older than me. But it's interesting. I know, like, even I have some older cousins that are very successful and other mentors, and it's like I feel like every generation maybe has like new kind of trends and things they like to do. But I feel like my older kind of mentors that I look up to, they're like morning routine, meditate. Like I just work, right? So I'm like, all right, that's cool. But like now, a lot of my peers, right, like in the personal development world, a lot of us meditate and stuff, and it's a slippery slope though, because I don't know some people that do it for like 3 hours, and I'm like,
Right.
you gotta like do some work here, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I guess I definitely grew up in the generation where it's just like you put your nose to the grindstone and you just
yeah,
keep pushing forward. Yeah.
yep, cool, awesome. So with Synchrony, if I go download the app, and what would like my first 10 minutes look like be on the app?
So one of the biggest parts of our community is that it's verified. And by that, we mean that not only do you have to identify yourself through a selfie matching with a photo ID, but you
Mhm.
also have to get a referral from someone in your life. It can be a therapist, a parent, a coach, an employer, anyone who can vouch for you and say, yes, you would be a great fit for this community, and the community would be a good fit for you. So
Okay.
this is our velvet rope. This is how we are making sure that our community consists of the people that it should consist of, keeps out the bad doers, the bots, all of these people that, should not be in this closed community. So the first thing they would do is they would get that verification, verify their own identity, and then they start to set up their profile. And what their profile looks like is some basic information, their age, where they live, and their interests. And their interests, they have, there's, I don't know, 200 interests that they can choose from, up to 10. And the critical part about those interests is that that's what we use to match you with your potential sync mates, is what we call other members, other friends that you'll be making. So
Mm.
you fill out your interests. You also can disclose whatever neurodivergent classification you are if you want. Um, you can decide if you want to only meet someone of the opposite sex, same sex, disclose if you're interested in friendship, romance, both, you don't care. And after all of that, you start being matched up with people. And you'll see, just like any other app, you'll see in your feed a bunch of recommendations for people that we believe would be a good sync mate for you. And from there, it really operates like many of these other social apps. And you get matched up with someone, you can choose to sync with them or not sync with them, and you start chatting.
Mhm.
And another big differentiator you mentioned at the top of this, which is our AI chat assist. And that is called Jesse, which is
Jesse.
named after our founder's son. And Jesse's there completely as an option, and if you want help with that communication. So let's say you don't understand what a sync mate sent you, a message that you're not really sure how to decode. Let's say you're in an uncomfortable situation, you're not sure how to get out of it in that conversation without being rude. Or you don't even know how to start the conversation.
Mhm.
Jesse is there to help you with all of those social cues. So again, there are communication differences and struggles in this community, and we're just trying to tear those barriers down and say, Jesse is your wingman, your sidekick. Ask whatever you want in the context of the conversation. You cannot say where is the best piece of pizza in New York City, right? Jesse will not answer that question. So there are guardrails, and you will be kept focused on the conversation. Jesse is certainly not there to replace any conversation you should be having with a member. And there are a lot of programming went in to make sure that, Jesse's able to scan the conversation, give you the feedback you want, and that's it. Not engage further. And Jesse will continue to focus you back on the conversation, that you should be focused on.
That's really cool. I love that it's a curated community. I love that it's an invite process. That's awesome, right? So you have like high quality caliber, like frequency of everybody focused on the mission and the intention, right? To
Right.
just empower people and their families. That's really awesome.
Exactly. And it's interesting
Yeah.
because it was clearly such a conscious decision, and it was the way that we felt that we could keep synchrony what it should be, what it's meant to be.
Hmm.
And it is presents hurdles to people to get in the community, right? You
Yeah.
you need to verify your own identity, you need to get someone else to refer you. And it's a hurdle, but it is what makes synchrony. Otherwise, you can go join any other social platform out there.
Yep.
So it has meant that we are growing at a slower pace than we would have had there been none of these hurdles, but then we wouldn't be synchrony. So to us, it really defines who we are.
Yep. And it's much more quality, obviously. It's kind of like the Soho House. I'm joking. I'm still trying to get in
Good
there.
reference, yeah.
So when you say, well, I guess you kind of answered it, right? But I was going to say, when you say structured social platform, what does that do for the user? But I guess did you answer that pretty much on the first question, or is there more to add to that piece?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I did. We
Yeah.
are we want a lot of independence in the communication, but we are also trying to provide a structure
Yep.
through which, people feel safe and able
Yeah.
to communicate freely.
Yep. Do you guys have like maybe the users do this on their own, or are there like in-person meetups and events you guys put together for members, or?
So not yet. That is
Yeah.
to come, because clearly communication happens. We want it to happen and translate off the app also. We are
Yeah.
trying to build this confidence and this independence so that these relationships can be taken offline, new ones can be formed offline.
Yeah.
Someone feels that they've developed the tools that they need to communicate with a boss or a landlord or anyone at a store, anyone at all, that we are trying to build this confidence that applies to entire life.
That's so cool. I love that. What do you want people to feel after uh, using the app?
A sense of belonging, a
Mm.
sense that loneliness is no longer an issue. You know,
Yeah.
one of obviously the amazing things is that an app is available 24/7, right? You can always connect with someone. You can always go to this community to feel a sense of belonging. You know, the entire impetus behind this was trying to fill that loneliness gap. And so if we can create a community where people feel a sense of belonging, a safe space, and develop that independence, I mean, that is perfection.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to spend time with more neurodivergent adults in person?
Yeah, and and we are working very closely with, we actually just brought on board this ND consultant, Brady Esham. He is incredible, and he's been really helping us with our member engagement, making sure that our language is on point, targeted, and using the right voice. So, absolutely, it's been an incredible population to work with, to see on the app. I mean, it's everything. It's what is
Yeah.
driving this mission.
Yep. So cool. So I'm going to ask you, let's talk about Jesse. I'm going to ask, as I'm acting as if there might be somebody listening that either is neurodivergent or knows somebody that is, which there probably is for sure. So in terms of Jesse, what are some situations where he helps people the most? Could it be like, um, I guess, well, you go for that. I was going to give some hypotheticals, but tell us.
Yes. So we have the way Jesse works. If you click on the Jesse icon,
Mhm.
three prompts pop up immediately. And one is protect my comfort, which is I'm feeling a little uneasy in this conversation. Can you please help me navigate it? And in that case, Jesse scans the most recent conversation you've been having and gives you real feedback. You can automatically input Jesse's suggestion into your chat. You can edit it, or you cannot use it and just walk away with a concept, right?
Yep.
The second one is conversation starters. And I want to connect with this new sync mate. I don't know how to start the conversation. What do I say? And Jesse can see what is part of their profile and say, oh, you know what? You both love baseball. Why don't you ask, your new sync mate if they saw the Mets game last night? Um, and the third one is decode this conversation, which is I just got this message from my sync mate. I don't know what is going on. Like, what do I
Yep.
say here? How do I respond? Again, Jesse will scan the conversation and give some advice. And then lastly, there's just an open prompt field, right? You can ask Jesse whatever you want, within the confines of the conversation, certainly. And we have tested that, and we have said, you know, Jesse, I want to fly, to Miami. What flight should I get on? And it's like, well, I'm not really here for that. Let's focus on your conversation. So those are the main buckets, but it is open if you have something else that are not covered within one of those.
That's great. I think everybody can get value from Jesse and this app.
I mean, everyone actually says that. It is
Yeah.
very true. We could all use a little help with our communication and the most appropriate way sometimes to communicate something.
Yep. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love that. It's so funny. I teach communication, but I've taken a lot of communication courses and trainings, and it sounds like it's such a basic thing. And we're obviously always communicating, and also we don't learn how to communicate. Just like we don't learn in school, we actually don't learn how to learn. It's like we just kind of go and memorize things, but there's like a process to learning, just like there's a process to communication. So I think it's so cool. As I learn more about communication, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's like you should ask those simple questions where it's like, oh, cool, you're wearing a blah blah black jacket. Like, I like black too, right? Just like, but in
Right.
school, I remember I was trained to like try to make it more complex and like don't use the same word somebody else is using. But it's actually good to use the same word somebody else is using, and like good to like say simple, kind of like basic things to build rapport and to start
Absolutely.
building connection and trust with people.
Exactly. And it's one of the things actually we're going back now that we have gone through our launch period. We are going back through all of our communication, to your point, to make sure it's all sort of very tight and reusing the
Yeah.
same language actually only reinforces your message. It reinforces and builds trust because you are consistent from one platform to the other or one communication channel through the other. And, I agree with you because at first I was thinking, well, we just said that, I don't know if we should say it again. But you should, right? It is reinforcing who you are. And, with this community, it's building trust is everything. And
Mhm.
being very clear in your intentions and what expectations should be is critical. So we are really focused on that and making sure that our communication says what it does and is accurate
Mhm.
and easily understood. And it's a great exercise in making sure that we are on point and on brand.
Yeah. And that must be fun too, because you're obviously getting so much data and you're able to improve it constantly, right? The feedback loops and how Jesse's performing with everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the challenges too, though, clearly as an entrepreneur is not to like pivot at every sign of
Yeah.
a complaint or a problem or even short-term data. It's something that, especially with an app, it's very easy to say, oh my gosh, we have to change that, or we didn't realize this was going to be the reaction to that, we need to pivot. And that is just causes chaos and confusion. And so we really are trying to say, okay, we are 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
We are going to be getting a ton of input. Some of it, by the way, has been incredible. Some of the feedback we've gotten has greatly improved our product. And others is just, okay, well, that's one voice.
Mhm.
Let's take a deep breath and put that in a list somewhere, but not react to it immediately.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure you've learned a lot of this from your previous
Yeah.
companies that you built as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you keep the experience inclusive across I guess, the different needs of within neurodivergent adult is kind of like a umbrella for like, correct me if I'm
Yes,
wrong, right? Autism, ADHD, anxiety, and some
exactly.
other things. So I
Yes,
guess I'm assuming
exactly.
you kind of chunk people together with similar challenges and
Challenges.
kind of put them in a similar group.
Yeah, so it really is up to them. So, they can disclose their classification or they cannot.
Oh yeah,
And it's really more of a space of understanding and saying we all have communication
yeah,
differences here. And so the leeway that is sort of given in the communication is far greater than it would be on another social platform.
yep,
And so we do operate with really high functioning ND adults. If you need tons of support, we are not probably for you right now. But there are plenty of people who will use voice to text as an example.
yeah,
But really it's high functioning ND adults, and that really can be across the board of the whole entire umbrella term.
yep. That's so cool. Well, even one little, I call it moves, right? With client, we just have different moves in communication, right? Even that one move where you said where it's like, if somebody was having challenges communicating with like the roommate and it gave them a suggestion on
Yeah.
how to like open a conversation, then you could use that all the time, right? With so many different types of people, and like that'll radically improve somebody's quality of life.
Exactly. And so we really do hope that these skills that are being learned will be brought off app into everyday life. And
Yep.
as I touched on before, I mean, we do hope to have meetups, in-person meetups. One of the pieces of data that we collect during the profile build is physical location. So we would love to be able to do that. The vision is grand in terms of where the different arms that we could grow and how we could
Yeah.
support the community in the social part of their lives. And so, as we would absolutely love to get there one day.
Cool. How are you currently reaching the community? Is it grassroots through creators or networks or schools or all the above, or what are you guys doing
It's
to
sort of all of the above. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, we are very, very active on all the social platforms, but also through Jamie, who's heading up our sales and partnerships. She knows a tremendous number of people in this space, a lot of schools, housing complexes, employers, and we're reaching out to all of them. We have a couple of different ways that we are growing currently. One is just that sort of one member at a time, word of mouth, advertising, social media posts, and things like that. Another is our referral network program. And so in a school, for example, or an employer can be a referring partner and sort of blast out to everyone in their network, here's an opportunity. I can be your reference. I will say you are verified for this community. And so it immediately takes away that hurdle of joining Synchrony. We just have to vet that one referring partner, and then they can let in anyone they want basically into the community. And the
Yep.
third is this more enterprise B2B approach where we are meeting with companies to try and apply this Synchrony platform as a communication platform for their organization. So they have an ND community, whether it's an employee group
Yeah.
or whether it's ND specific housing, let's create a communication platform for you so that your participants can connect outside of your regular programming.
Cool. What's one thing people assume about synchrony that's wrong?
Oh, one thing they assume that's wrong. I would say that the community is made up of very high functioning people, and I think that many people don't believe, don't consider that to be the case. But it really is. It's just they don't feel comfortable or at home or a sense of belonging in these other communities.
Yeah. And if synchrony had a secret sauce, what is it in one sentence?
The secret sauce of synchrony is holding true to our verified community to ensure that it's authentic and that everybody belongs.
Yeah, cool. And is there a feature that you thought would be small but it became a big deal in the app?
Uh, so it's funny, the biggest the most comments we got after launch had to do with our bio and the bio that's created for our members after they fill out all of the profile information. So one of the things that we had initially designed was that after you fill out all that onboarding information, we automatically generate a bio for you that will appear on your profile.
Hmm.
And there were many comments about how come I cannot edit this bio? I don't like what this bio says. And it was a miss on our part, right? We should have known that that's a very personal thing. That is the paragraph that introduces this person to other syncmates. And so that was our very first adjustment, which was we've got to allow everybody to curate or to edit that bio to reflect who they are.
Yeah, that's a great pivot. Yeah. And then who's synchrony most for in one sentence?
Synchrony is for anybody who feels that they don't belong in another community that has communication differences and does not feel like they're understood or able to communicate, with other people how they want to.
Mm. What's what do you want a user's family to feel, or a member's family, I should say, after 30 days?
That a weight's been lifted from them as family members, that they
Mm,
are no longer solely responsible for fulfilling this social isolation gap of their loved one.
mm. That's so beautiful. I love it. I'm gonna pull up the website real quick because we're gonna have some of this on YouTube here. Is there anything specifically on the website people should check out, or obviously download the app if they want to download it?
Yeah, exactly. The download the app is really would be amazing. The FAQs has a ton of information in there, but
Yeah.
and it should be updated actually as of a couple of days ago. There should
Yep.
be a bunch of, yeah, okay. So I think that gives a lot of good information because there are questions about onboarding, about the verification process. who it's for. And, the other thing I want people to know is that we've extended our free trial period as we
Mhm.
build the community. And so we really want a really healthy base,
Yeah,
um, and for people to be able to try it for free.
that's cool. I love that. I like that. Is Synchrony a dating app? You got a blog?
Yes.
Nice. Cool. So fun. I love your mission, Rebecca. It's so inspiring to see you've had success in other industries, and now you're wanted to have. You've already had impact in the other industry, but it's cool to see what you're doing now with people and their families and helping to improve the quality of their lives.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a pivot that I'm just so happy I made. I was just,
Yeah.
fashion's fun and great and all, but it's not where I am in my life. And it's just, I love that I have this opportunity to try to really impact
Yeah.
a community.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. You've come a long way from using curtains as clothing to helping people communicate better.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. So people want to learn more about Synchrony, they can go to the website. We'll put it in the notes, but it's joinsynchrony.com. And then, is there anything else you want people to know, or anything else you want people to know? And then I'll ask you one more question.
Yeah, no, I would say just that our free trial period is the time to check it out.
Perfect.
And yeah, see what we're all about.
Amazing. Cool. And then, what is your final departing message for the audience?
Uh, it's to dive in. Like
Mm.
whatever it is that you want to pursue, you don't need all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. I mean, you will never get to that point. It's like starting a family. Like you will never be ready for that. You just do it. And you figure it out as you go. And as long as you have that clear sort of endpoint vision, you'll be able to figure out how to get there.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Rebecca. It's so wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.